if you're under 25 years old and you're thinking about starting your first business, but you don't know if you want to commit to it or if it's even worth it, I'm going to give you a full transparent look from under the hood of someone who's been in the online business game for the last 5 years now and run a total of 7 different companies. Now, I've been full time in my current business, which is a video editing agency, for the last 3 years, and I don't plan on stopping anytime soon. I'm going to give you the pros and cons of what exactly it's been like, if it's worth it, or if you should just kind of stick to the usual route or do whatever else. So I'll do it where I'll go with a con, then a pro, and then cycle through. Now, I'll start with the con. So the first one is that it takes a very long time to get set up and actually feel like you have achieved something. Now, in my case, for the first 2, maybe 3 years, I didn't see any success whatsoever. I think I tried maybe 3 or 4 or even 5 maybe businesses between that. And when I say businesses, I mean it's kind of like the standard drop shipping, NFT trading, or trading crypto, whatever, affiliate marketing, all that stuff where it's like, is it a business? I don't know. But it's still a side hustle, venture, whatever you want to call it. But for that, it took 2 or 3 years where I didn't make a single dollar, and then, or at least a profitable dollar. And then after that, that's when I started making some sort of money, where it was more just like kind of taking what I could get at the start. But at the start, it is a very long road where you just do not know what you're doing, and you're just kind of doing things and hoping for the best. To be honest, I'm still doing that, but I've got a bit of data and a bit of experience behind it to kind of make more calculated decisions. But when you're starting out, you're kind of just firing from the hip, I guess, but still am as well. But it takes a very long time to actually get something going, because if you're especially if you're under 25 years old, or even kind of, I don't know, 16 to 18-year-old range, you really do not have any skills whatsoever. You may have some things that are like beneficial in some senses, but in the grand scheme of things, you don't really have a skill that you can really monetize from. And then that's what takes it a while, because you're starting from ground zero, where you're trying to A, run a business, but then B, learn whatever you're trying to learn and sell that as a skill, or use that as a skill to grow your business, which is the problem. One thing that really messes with your head is that there's no specific date of when it's going to work. It works when it works, and when that time comes, who knows? But because if you compare it to a job or maybe a promotion, you kind of got, at the end of the year, maybe they do a reevaluation of your position, and then be like, are you eligible for a promotion? And then that's when it's like, okay, I've got end of year. This is when there should be some sort of result. But in the business realm, like, you just try, and maybe something works, maybe something doesn't, but you continue. So, and the goal for this is, I don't want to discourage you at all whatsoever. I'm just giving you a raw, transparent opinion, but you have to understand I'm running a business and I choose to run a business, so that kind of gives my answer away. And then, so for the first pro, then your earning potential is effectively infinite. Where, I mean, you look at billionaires, where, or Elon Musk is a trillionaire now, so it's effectively infinite. Does that mean you will hit it? Not necessarily, but you can definitely scale it a lot easier and a lot quicker compared to a regular job. So, for myself, full transparency, doing about 20k New Zealand dollars a month. So I think that's around 12k US a month, and it took a very long time to get there. And then I'm still trying to scale it up. The goal is 50 New Zealand, so I think that's maybe 30 a month US by the end of the year. So we'll see if we hit that. So a long way away. But with that, I kind of, from years, I think it took me about maybe a year to actually, in this particular business, to quit my job, around about that, I think. And then at the time, I was just washing dishes for minimum wage, so it wasn't much of a job anyway. But I was doing like 16, 20 hours a week. And then that funded the business. But to be able to quit that, I had a goal in mind where it's 6k a month New Zealand, so I don't know, 4 US or so, 3.5. So yeah, that was my goal, where it was like, okay, I've got a kind of comfortable enough where I can sustain myself, and it's all recurring as well, which is the main thing. So it's just month to month work, which is great. And then, so yeah, from there, been able to scale it a bit higher, but definitely been a rocky road and plateaued a lot. But manage to grow it. So yeah, you have to keep that in mind. A job versus starting your business. A job is kind of a very slow and steady upgraph. I don't know the particular name for it, but it's slow and steady, or it kind of plateaus depending on what you're doing. But business, you can go straight like that, and you can plan it. And then I've done both of those, where skyrocketed very quickly and also plummeted very quickly. So you have to keep that in mind. And then yeah, that's the first pro. Now, the second con is that it can take a lot of time and it can take a lot of money. And from a time perspective, obviously it ties into the previous con, but when I say time, I mean it more every single day. It should take a lot amount of hours to actually do what you need to do. And then money as well, you need to invest in your business, otherwise, unless you can operate at 100% margin, great, but you probably won't. So it takes a lot of time and money. Like starting out, I mean, even now I'm still working. I'm aiming to work 12 hours a day, Monday to Friday. But I've got a rule where I don't want to just work for the sake of working. Like I don't want to just sit at my computer fiddling around and doing nothing, so I can hit that 12-hour mark. Like it's literally, the goal is to work for 12 hours ideally, but the main priority is effective and productive work. Otherwise, without that, I'm just wasting my time. But you just have to prioritize it and spend as much time as you can to get it off the floor at least. But yeah, and the money aspect as well. Like for myself, I chose a service business where it was very, very high margins, where it was like for editing, it's kind of just software really, already on a laptop. So that allowed me to do that. But it was just software. And that was, I think, starting out, it was maybe $100 a month, 150, 200, I don't know. So it's very cheap. So, and then I was just able to use my job to pay for that, and then done deal, it was sorted. But for other businesses, like if it's a product based business, your margins are probably going to be a lot thinner, because you have to not just, you probably have subscriptions, but then you have to invest in products and delivery and packaging and all that. So you have to weigh that up as well. So it can take a lot of time and money. Now, the second pro, kind of contradictory to the previous con, but you have a lot more freedom and control in your life. So, yes, when you don't have a job, like for myself, for example, I can work whenever I want. So, if I want to wake up at 12 p.m., I can. And if I want to miss a day, I can. Should I? No. So you've got that control and freedom aspect, but you actually have to be smart with it. It's also not from a time perspective as well, but you don't necessarily have someone telling you what to do. You've still got a boss, or I've still got a boss, which is my clients at the end of the day, but it's not a real boss, if you know what I mean. There's a bit of lenience to it, but you have a lot more freedom in your life. Like I can work wherever I want and at any time, but to be honest, I've got a home office, but I really do not like working here. I kind of just do it for morning work and filming for YouTube videos or ads. And then I just go to this local university library because it feels like a working condition. So yeah, so like you have to have the discipline of, yes, you have more freedom. That can be a blessing and a curse, because then you've got your phone next to you. If you choose to over there, you can slack off, which is very easy. That's why I don't work at home. I found it a lot easier to slack off, because then, like for lunch, for example, you've got the aircon blast and you can sit on the sofa, watch TV, have a cooked lunch or takeaway or whatever. So much more comfortable. Time flies by a lot easier, and compared to working at a working location that's not at your home, it's a bit more restrictive. So you actually have to be disciplined about it. Like for myself, just wake up at 5 and then either go to the gym or just work. So and then kind of finish at around 6:30, 6 o'clock. So there has to be that discipline element, otherwise it's a curse. But it can definitely be a blessing, and it is for my life. Now, the last con is it can consume your life, kind of, again, blessing and a curse. But for myself, like, because all my clients are international, they're primarily the US, United States, Australia, and then one in Cyprus. So with that, it's like it can consume your life because people are in multiple different time zones. And then, like, Cyprus is more or less opposite to New Zealand. So, although I can work at any time, I often find myself working or at least kind of connected at all hours, which is a problem. But that's obviously my stage in business. If you look at the top people in the business game, a lot of them, like, I mean, if you look at kind of people in the C-suite or board member, or to be honest, I don't know too much about that. But you look at the top CEOs where um, they've just got such a big team amount or below them. They've got people doing what they could be doing, so they've got a lot more free time in some senses, I guess. But it can definitely consume your life if you let it, and I think it almost has to consume your life to a certain degree. Because, like, I believe your business should be your number one priority. For me, it's my number one priority. Like, I've got a missus, I'm getting married next March, but I still think business is my number one priority, because without that, I'll be a complete different person and I will go downhill. So it's kind of like it's prioritizing, maybe not business as a whole, but it's kind of prioritizing your goals and your fulfillment and things like that. That things that make you you. I think it needs to be prioritized. So for me, it's my business. But yeah, so it's good and bad. It definitely consumes my life. Like, I mean, I find um like I've only really got a few friends, and then the primary conversation is business, which I'm happy with. But then I feel like when people ask how are you doing, there's not much to talk about. It's like same old. Like, one of my mates, he's stepping into the professional boxing realm, and it's like, for him, day in day out boxing, for me, day in day out working in the office. So it's like same old whenever we see each other, but it's still good. But yeah, it definitely consumes your life, and you, like, for the 9 to 5, you're strictly working 9 to 5, but then for the business, you're working literally whenever, and a lot of the times, a lot of hours. So yeah, there's more freedom, but is it freedom? But with that, like, for me, I see this is not the end goal. I do not see myself, like, for my current business, it needs me, otherwise it dies. So, but the end goal is that it doesn't need me and it still thrives, which is the end goal. But at least for now, in my stage of life and my stage of business, it needs me, it consumes my life. So that's just something to keep in mind. And then last pro, it's fulfilling. Like, it's something, once you get to a point that you can be proud about it, it's a nice feeling. But then that start where, like, for me, when I think I quit my job washing dishes at 19, and then I just felt really like, what am I doing? Everyone's at uni or working a full-time job, and I'm kind of just like washing dishes in the evenings and then working on my business during the day, but it was not even a business. So it's definitely tough. But then once you can make something and see a slither of success, you can be a bit more proud about it, and it is fulfilling. Like, for myself, I get a lot of fulfillment from just being hardworking, and kind of, I think it was Joe Rogan or someone who said, it's like, what would someone think of you if paparazzi crew was watching you 24/7? So for me, I think I get a lot of my fulfillment from being ultimately proud of myself at the end of the day. Like, did I do myself proud when it's 10 p.m. I'm about to go to sleep and I think about the day? Did I do myself proud? And then I think it's more about contentness than happiness. Yeah, it's definitely fulfilling in that sense. But yeah, so those are all the pros and cons. I think from, like, I mean, my answer is pretty clear cut. I'm running my business by choice and choosing to work the amount of hours I do. So that's kind of your answer. Like, it's 100% worth it, but I think you actually have to look in the mirror and be like, is this the type of life I want? And then, am I this type of person? Because you see a lot of the people that are very passionate about a particular job, and then when they get into running the business, it's a totally different sport or vehicle, because you've gone from, like, for one recent conversation, I was having a chat to my barber, and he was initially a barber, and he really enjoyed that. He moved into running a business as a barber shop, and then hated it because it's not what he enjoyed. He actually spent more time doing other things related to the business, compared to actually being a barber, and then now he's back to being a barber. So you have to think about that. Like for me, like for video editing, I'm trying to get myself. I've probably now with new clients coming on board, I've probably offloaded about 50% of the service delivery, which is not high enough in my opinion. Ideally want to have it all of it offloaded, but for me, I enjoy video editing to a certain degree, but it's not like a passion of mine. Like I'm not dying to sit down and start editing videos. That's not my yeah, it's not my passion. But I somewhat enjoy it. But then what I enjoy more is the business side of it and actually growing a business and creating something. So you have to think about that. What do you actually enjoy? Because I think it was Tom Noski said it, where he was talking about how the person, there's two people. One of them loves what they do. One of them loves, they can't wait to get to the desk and start their work day and work on the business. The other one hates it. Who's going to win? The person that enjoys it. So it's kind of like that. You have to actually look at yourself in the mirror and think, will I enjoy this? Is this something I want? Because otherwise you're just going to quit. And yeah, I think after 5 years and only seeing success in year 2 or 3, it's 100% worth it. But it's a rocky one when starting out. So hopefully that leads someone to starting a business. And it's definitely worth it. 100% changed my life, and I don't know where I'd be if I didn't start it. But yeah, definitely worth it. So, but I wouldn't jump into it, and I guess the art of it is you don't have to fully commit to it. You've got that freedom and flexibility of choosing, but if you want to take it serious, you have to commit to it. But yeah, that's all I've got to say. So yeah, appreciate it and have a good one.